Hi, I'm Christopher, a research software engineer with Research Software Workshops, and it's a very warm welcome to part 3 for Git for Collaboration. The link to the material is down at the bottom of the page, and if you go to the Remotes and Pulling section, you'll find this page. Now in the last section, you saw how you could create your own remote copy of a remote repository by forking it into your own GitHub account. You cloned your fork to create a local copy, and then a local working tree in which you could make changes. Committing changes in your local working tree saved a new version in your local repository. You then pushed new versions from your local repository to the remote repository of your fork, which was your copy. And in this way, you can make changes to your copy of the project. But what if the original owner of the repository made changes to the original version of the repository? How could you get a copy of those changes? Now, before we find the answer to that question, we first need to learn about something called Git Remotes. So, what is a remote? Well, a remote is the URL, that web address of the Git repository. So we've already used remotes kind of implicitly a lot. So for example, github.com/chriswood/superproject.git, this is the URL of the original superproject remote repository. So this is the remote for the original superproject remote repository. Now URLs are long and error prone to type, so Git provides a way of assigning a name to a URL, and you then use that identifying name to refer to that URL, and indeed we say that this identifying name is the named Git remote. For example, we've used origin. You've seen origin a few times and I've kind of skipped over what it means. Well, origin is the name that's given by default to the URL from which you cloned a repository and to which you will push changes. Now we can find the URL associated with the name origin by typing in that command. So if we do that here, git remote get URL origin, we can see this is the URL of our personal copy of superproject, github.com, chris@home, superproject.git. And of course it's my copy because I cloned the original GitHub repository into my own personal GitHub. Now this is the Git remote called origin. You can actually have as many Git remotes as you want added to your project, and you can call them anything you wanted. So for example, I could create a Git remote, and you can add them using Git Remote add. I'm going to create a remote that I'm going to call Fluffy Kitten, because it can be called anything that I want, and it could be really any URL that you want that ends with .git. Now obviously it makes life easier if it's a URL of a Git repo connected to the one you're working with. So in this case, this is the URL of the original repository from which we forked, like that. Now that's now saved the remote, and of course I can then reread it by doing git remote get URL and then look at Fluffy Kitten. So all we're doing is we're assigning a name just to the URL of a .git folder that's sitting remotely on the internet, in this case on GitHub. Now you can list all of the remotes that you've set for your local repository by typing git remote and then just hitting return. So again, in this case we have two. We have Fluffy Kitten and origin. And you can get more information by typing git remote -v, where you can see actually the URLs and the URLs that are used for getting new data and then pushing data back up to, in this case, GitHub. Now, as I said, origin is the name of the remote that is used by default for the git clone and git push commands. Indeed, you might remember from the first workshop that there was this command git remote add origin and then github.com your username version.dir.git, and that was used as part of the process of initializing the remote GitHub repository. And I told you just to copy and paste that without understanding. That command set the URL for origin, and then the next command that you typed when you were uploading, the git push -u origin main, told Git to use origin as the default label for the git push commands. Now, that's taken us down to here in the notes. We're now going to talk about a concept which is called Upstream. Now, Upstream is an important thing when we start forking repositories. So if you remember, origin is the name that we give to the remote repository from which we cloned and to which we push. Now we know as humans that our origin is actually a fork from another GitHub repository. Remember that github.com/chriswood/superproject.git. Now, Git itself doesn't know that we forked this repository from the other. There's no record that we've done that within the Git program. And so we have to have some way of telling Git that our superproject is a fork of the original superproject. And we do that by creating a new remote that we call Upstream. Upstream will refer to the original URL from which we forked originally. So I'm just going to clear my screen. We're going to add that by just adding in a Git Remote add. We're going to call it Upstream, and it's a convention to call it Upstream. And then the URL of the original project from which we forked was github.com/chriswoods superproject.git. Okay, this has now created a new remote which we've called Upstream. There we are, it's there listed as Upstream. Let's do git remote -v. There we are, it's pointing to that original URL from which we originally forked. So Upstream is the remote that refers to the URL of the original remote Git repository from which we forked our own local copy. Now we could have used any name, but in this case we followed the convention that Upstream is the URL of the original repository from which we forked. Now of course I can then type git remote get URL Upstream, and there we are, that is the URL of the project from which we forked. And of course git remote get URL origin is our forked local copy in our own GitHub folder. So that's taken us down to this point, onto pulling. Why have we created this remote called Upstream? Well, the reason is that we can now use this to pull changes that were pushed to the original remote repository. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into that original remote repository, because I do actually as another account have access to it, and I'm going to make some changes to that you're not going to be able to see, or you will see it, but pretend that you can't see it, pretend that this is somebody else working away. So I'm going to go in, and this is the original owner of the original repository coming in, making some changes. This is a new line, maybe here. This is a line added by the original owner to the original repository by the original owner. Okay, so that person's gone away. They've made some changes to the original. And they've then pushed that back up to the original repository. And indeed, if we go on to the original repository, we can see your copy doesn't have those lines that we've just added, but if we go back to the original one we forked, there we are, this is the line added to the original by the original owner. So I'm just going to go back to your copy. And again, you've made a copy as well. I haven't changed your copy, I've only changed that original from which you forked. Now, so we've just looked on the web browser, we've seen the original Superproject website, we've seen that in the original that line was added, but it hasn't been added in our fork, in our copy. Now to pull those new changes that were committed from another repository, we have to use the Git Pull command. Now the syntax of this is Git Pull, where remote name is the first argument, and that's the name of the repository you wish to pull from. So origin to pull from your own fork, or Upstream to pull from the original repository from which we forked. And branch name is the name of a branch, which we're going to explain later, but in nearly all cases the branch name is main. So if we want to pull those changes, I'm going to control this. Oops. There we are. Control L there. We don't have that change. This is our local copy from our fork. We don't have that line that's been added by the original person who owned it. But if we want to pull that change in, we would type git pull Upstream, because we're pulling changes from the original before we forked it, and then main. Now this immediately opens up a commit, because what happens is those changes made by the first person now have to be merged into your copy. And in this case, this merge can be performed automatically. We'll talk later about when it can't be performed automatically. Given it can be performed automatically, we're just going to save this as is. There we are. And it's now been saved. We've got outputs. Yours might look slightly different, but it looks something like this. Now what this output shows is that Git has basically fetched the changes that were made in the original Chris Wood super project. It's fetched them down and it's auto-merged the change that it found in readme.md. Some things were added, one file was changed, there were 3 insertions. And if I now look at this file, there we are. Here is that line that was added to the original repository by the original owner. And there's the line that I added in my fork. Of course, this has already been committed, so I can then do git push. Just move this out of the way. There we are. And that's now been pushed and it's been saved. And if I go and look on the repository my fork and I reload the page, we can see that it's been merged, and there is the line added to the original repository by the original owner and the line that I added for fun in my fork. Okay. And indeed, if I do a git status, I always forget my git status commands. There we are, I'm on branch main. We're up to date with origin main. We're up to date with my fork. So this now brings us to the Git cheat sheet. We've now had basically 2 new commands. The first was Git Remote. What Git Remote does is Git Remote basically associates names with URLs that refer to online .git folders. So the .git folder on GitHub that refers to our repository. And then there was Git Pull, which we use to pull versions which are saved in remote repositories and pull them to our local repository, and then merge those changes into our current working tree. So here we have on the end of our little Git cheat sheet, Git Remote -v basically shows information about all the remotes that we've configured, and Git Remote add remote name and then the URL adds the new remote called name to the repository at the specified URL. So here we've shown how we can add Upstream to the original repository from which we forked. And then Git Pull Remote Name branch pulls changes that were made in that remote, in that branch, to our current working tree and merges them. And typically, if we're going to pull changes made in our own repository, it would be Git Pull Origin Main. But if we want to pull the changes made in the repository from which we forked, it would be Git Pull Upstream Main. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make another change to the original super project repository, and then you're going to use Git Pull to pull those changes into your repository and merge them into your working tree. I want you to commit the changes, then Git push them into your fork of super project. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm actually going to make that change. So here in red, you can see this is the original owner, and I'm going to make changes to this stage1.md, and I'm going to add in another stage here. Paint the ceiling, like install the lights, tile the wall, blah blah blah. It's a stage that I've just put in here, one extra line into stage1.md, and then I do git status. If I can type, there we are, I've made that change, added another stage to the project. Okay, so I've now made a change as the original owner of the original repository. Your exercise now is to pull that change into your repository, into your fork, and then merge them in. I'm going to give you a press pause, and then when you come back from pause, I'm going to do that myself as well. Okay, you've come back from pause, so I'm going to do this as well. So I'm going to go to my window which has the fork. Okay, if I do git status, everything looks like it's fine, but of course there may have been some changes on Upstream. So I do git pull upstream main. This will now merge the changes in. there was no problem with the merge, and we can see that there's been a change to planning stage 1.md. So let's have a look at that so I can see what was changed. Yeah, I can see here we have install the lights. That was the new thing. And indeed, if I do git diff, you remember from the last command, oh, we can't do a git diff, we have to do a git diff to the previous version, but you can find a difference if you wanted to find a difference to previous versions. Let's push this change in because it's already been committed. There we are. And now if I now reload my fork, we can see we've done another merge, and if we look at planning stage 1.md, yep, install the lights has now appeared. So git pull and git push are the commands used to push changes from a local repository to a remote repository, or pull changes from a remote repository back to the local repository. By default, both git push and git pull will push and pull from the default branch of the default remote repository for your local repository, which is origin main in most cases. And this is why we've not generally had to specify a remote or a branch when we've used git push. We just typed git push on its own, as this is the correct location to push origin main in most cases. Now you could of course type git push origin main if you wanted to, but you could also push to any remote repository that you have write access to. So if you had write access to Upstream, to the original fork, the original from which we forked, you could have actually typed git push upstream main and just skipped your fork completely. Similarly, git pull will pull from the default, will pull by default from origin main, meaning that we just used git pull on its own. You can type git pull to always pull from origin main, and that will pull the changes that in your default remote repository into your local repository. Now, this may be the case that you have a clone of your repository on two computers. So for example, you might have the same repository cloned at home and at work, and then you can run git push from work to upload changes from your work computer, and then when you get back to your home computer, type git pull on your home computer and it will download those changes. Now that's fine when you're working on your own, but when you're working with others, you'll normally use git pull remote branch, for example git pull upstream main, to pull in the changes made in other forks into your repository. So for example, if you and your collaborator, for example called Fred, were working together, you could set a remote called Fred's fork to refer to the URL of Fred's fork, and then you could call git pull Fred's fork main to pull and merge in any changes made by Fred. Similarly, Fred could do the same for your fork and would type in git pull your name /main on their computer if that was what they typed it to be. Okay, so that's brought us to the end of this page. Click next to go on to the next page, and I look forward to seeing you in the next workshop.